word means rendezvous?
Tryst. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who other? So what else? How did you meet this Fitzy guy?
Fitzy, I was living in West Roxbury. As you know, I grew up in Newton, but I lived in West Roxbury for about a dozen years. And I was down at Doyle's Pub in Jamaica Plain having a beer one day. And I met Fitzy, and we started talking, and he told me about his stories about how he knew John Wayne and how he knew Elvis and how he had met JFK several times. And then as I gained his trust, he began to tell me the true story of the Kennedy assassination, which
that sparked you.
Which only he knew. Because all the other characters have since passed on.
Really? So, anyway, I read a lot of this book, and it's very interesting. Make a good movie.
It would make a great movie.
Make great movies, yeah. Right.
That's what we're trying to make happen.
Is that right? Uh-huh. Is there any way you can get me in it? Can you start it out with this interview?
You could play a heavy. You could play a mafia chieftain, I think, Jack.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So this all happened on December 19th, 1970. What was that date? So
December 19th, 1970 is the day that Elvis got in the fight with his wife and flew out to get the gun and fly over to get Nixon and meet Nixon 2 days later when this picture was taken.
Very interesting. But how did Marlon Brando fit in here too?
Marlon Brando is, of course, probably the best known method actor, maybe the greatest actor ever. On the Waterfront and The Godfather, two of the best movies of all time. And he was rumored to have given JFK acting lessons to help JFK be convincing in his press conferences and speeches. So this is what led...
It seems as you spend a lot of time interviewing celebrity actors.
I've read, I used to read only biographies, so I've read biographies on all these people.
And that helped you?
Everything I know is in this book, Jack. It was like taking a data chip out of my brain and putting it here. My brain is empty now.
Who is Dino? Dean Martin?
Dino's in there in a couple of chapters, but he wasn't. Sinatra didn't want his close friends to be directly involved in the assassination, so he kept them out of the loop.
Oh, that was thoughtful.
Yeah.
And the Colonel
Parker?
He was involved, wasn't he?
He was.
Was he a poor sport?
He was a rich sport. He took more than half of Elvis's money and essentially worked him into the ground at the end of his career when he was sick and probably needed, to be institutionalized and have some medical help. And they worked him over 300 days a year like a horse. The Colonel was not a very nice guy. Elvis was offered a lot of major film roles that he did not get because the Colonel insisted that he get top billing over the other people, which at that time wasn't really necessary or even called for. He was offered to be in Rio Bravo with John Wayne, and the Colonel demanded top billing and more money. Instead, Ricky Nelson got that part. He was offered the lead in West Side Story.
Oh.
And didn't get that because the Colonel wanted too much money.
The lead in West Side Story.
Yeah.
How's he fit in there? Who was he supposed to play?
He was supposed to play the lead.
Wow.
Yeah.
He wasn't the type.
But
that would have been a poor choice.
But he was offered the part. You know what I mean? There was a lot of parts that he did not get just because the Colonel said no. So he ended up doing all these lousy, entertaining but lousy, musicals throughout the 60s. But he wanted to be a dramatic actor like James Dean and Tony Curtis and Brando. Elvis really, his dream was to be respected as a serious actor. And unfortunately, he never got that chance, with the exception of a couple of early movies, King Creole and Jailhouse Rock, which were excellent. The rest of them were just kind of serial musicals.
This political evaluation of Ronald Reagan, how does that play into this?
Well, there's also, as you know, little factoids throughout the book. Ronald Reagan, people don't realize, was originally a Democrat.
Yeah, he was the governor of California.
And then he became a Republican in the 60s.
When wisdom fell into his thinking.
Right,
And,
right.
like myself, I'm a Republican now.
You're a little right of Attila the Hun, Jack, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, that's not true though. I'm a common sense guy.
Yes.
But anyway, you really got into his political background. He
Yep.
doesn't play any role here in the
No.
assassination.
Wayne considered him as a second gunman choice, but eventually did not choose him. Did not choose Ray. Reagan was not involved.
Nixon nominated journeyman character and actor, the real-life World War II hero Lee Marvin. Lee Marvin plays a big part of this book, doesn't he?
Yep, he not a big part, but he was considered to be the second gunman also. But I told you he was no good with a rifle. John Wayne assumed.
So what are you doing now? I mean, you've got something else going. You're writing another book, aren't you?
Yep, I'm working on another book about Elvis and another memoir that I'm working on too in the field of adoption, which I'm working on also. So hopefully that'll be done in the next few months, or within the next few months.
Well, is there anything else here we have to, that would be of interest to our viewers? The book is selling good, I know that. I checked that out.
Yep.
And we found out how old Fitzy. How old was Fitzy when he died?
Fitzy, I think, was 67.
He was a young man.
68, but he smoked his whole life.
And he was kind of a drinker too, wasn't he?
Drank a little bit, and but the cigarettes ended up causing lung cancer, and that's what took him out.
He was type of a guy, from what I read, the type of a guy that when a star was lonely, they'd call him in for conversation.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep. Yep. He was very close with Sinatra, very close with John Wayne, very close with Elvis. Probably closest with Elvis.
Yeah. Elvis had a team of,
The Memphis Mafia.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of friends of his, a lot of hangers-on. You know, he didn't like to be alone very much. After his mother died, I think he went into a profound state of depression for perhaps the rest of his life. His mother was his best friend, and I don't think he was ever the same after his mother passed away. And that was right before he went in the service in 1958.
Elvis lived kind of a sad life, didn't he?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
He was on the road, but nobody sings a better Danny Boy than Elvis, Jack.
Yeah.
You ever hear Elvis's version of Danny
Yes,
Boy?
I have. I hear it. Yeah, sure.
Maybe
I was a big fan of Elvis because I respected him.
Yep.
See, a lot of celebrities in my younger days, I had no respect for. Like, when I can remember guys like everybody raves about Muhammad Ali. I had no respect for him. He avoided the draft.
Yep.
And a few others, you know. Elvis went in. The Everly Brothers, for an example, they went in the Marine Corps, young guys, top of their career. They went through the whole, 4 years, 3 years, or whatever they were in.
And they sacrificed their career to do it.
They did everything,
Yep.
and Elvis did too. Elvis's career was in jeopardy there for a while.
It's funny you mention that because that's an issue that comes up throughout the book. Elvis, of course, went in the service. Of course, JFK was in the Navy.
Yeah.
You know, he had shot down Pt-109. But John Wayne did not go in the service during World War II, and he played either a cowboy or a military man in almost every movie he was in.
Yeah.
Sinatra never went in the service. And I think, I don't know so much with Sinatra, but with John Wayne, I think that caused a lot of guilt with him later on in his life. You know, and if you remember during Vietnam, he went to Vietnam to talk to the soldiers and everything. I don't think he ever lived that down, that he didn't go in the service, because his peers did go in the service. Clark Gable, Gary Cooper, Jimmy Stewart, who's a major character in the book, was a brigadier general in the service. And those guys, they took away years of their life. And they didn't know if they'd be able to come back and be in movies, but they did. I mean, look at Ted Williams.
Ted Williams.
How many years of Ted Williams' career did he lose in the military? He could have
6 years.
He could have had 700 home runs.
Yeah.
You know?
He served in World War II and Korea.
Yeah, I know that. He was the real John Wayne, Ted Williams.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, listen, Joe, I wish you the best of luck. I appreciate you flying in here to see the old boat Jack.
Always a pleasure to see you. And I need a haircut. You know where I can get a haircut?
No. You still have it. You're lucky.
Yeah. It's a very convincing toupee, isn't it?
Your grandfather, if I remember correctly, lost his hair young.
And my father.
Yeah.
And
But you're doing
my
good.
two brothers
You're doing good.
have no hair, so as long as it's in, I don't care what color it is.
Good. Well, good to see you.
All right.
Good luck.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, and probably see you again next week.